This is Brenda Carsey, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Brenda Carsey, a singer-songwriter.
Yeah, she's promoting her January of 23 release, Cognizance. Right now, she's in the studio writing new material for her next solo endeavor.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah, let's get to that interview.
All right, good night.
Good night. Brenda, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce to you my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Brenda, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you both for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you. Thank you for your willingness to participate. Let's get right into this. This past January of 2023, you released your latest album, Cognizance. Talk a little bit more about the writing and recording of this album.
Okay, man, it was such a wild journey because I started writing songs for the album before the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time the whole album was written, and then I did a crowdfunding campaign that was successful, very, very luckily. That brought us to the end of 2019. And then we were slated to go into the studio top of 2020 in like April of 2020. And then, you know the rest. So,
Sure.
Yeah. So we had to like push everything back, like a year and a half, a year. That's the, I guess, the logistical part of it. And then like subject wise, probably compared to a lot of my other released music, this album is very external,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more observational in regards to what I was writing about. Obviously, clearly like things that you can still internalize and process within you. But a lot of it was, I feel like, just more external thematically in regards to observations about society and the ways people treat each other or not,
Mm-hmm. Very good. Let's talk about the opening track, Just Trying to Do My Thing.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I believe you had a video for that one. Can you talk a little bit about the making of that?
Yeah, it was actually not supposed to be a video. I was kind of going out with a friend of mine to just shoot short social media, little bits and pieces for promo, stuff like that. And then I looked at it and I was like, man, I have enough footage. I could probably squeeze a music video out of this footage. So I just edited all that together myself. And we just were in a neighborhood called South Pasadena, just outside of Los Angeles. And there was a coffee shop that there just happened to be a piano outside the coffee shop. And so it was just totally unplanned, totally unexpected. Just walking around.
I know, that was cool.
Very good. Well, I want to bring this to the to your songwriting. This is album number 5. Is that correct? Am I correct on that, or is this a 4?
As far as like legitimate albums, yeah, I'd give you that. But there's
Very good.
This is technically my 10th album.
Okay.
If everyone out there wants to know the truth, but as far as what's publicly available, this is my 8th album.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I guess when we take it to songwriting, is it the same way for you every album that you've written, or do you approach songwriting differently to I guess maybe to appease the album that you're writing?
Yeah, I definitely differently. I have some of the albums I've released are acoustic, some are full band, some are digital. And a lot of the digital ones start with like the beat first. It's a little backwards. Like production comes first. This recent album you brought up, Cognizance, is very much such a classic singer-songwriter album in the sense that everything was written at the same time. Like the at least the primary instrument, the piano or the guitar, whichever I was writing on, and the words and the melody, they all happen at once for me normally. It's just they're attached for me. And then from there, the drums and bass and stuff, I have like some ideas and I'll beatbox or sing it out to them. But I work with people who I trust. So I let them bring their spark and their opinion to things as long as it falls into like the general like imagination I had. And then the strings or horns or like subsequential layers, I normally compose and arrange all of that and you just imagine it. I love like counter melodies and layers, and I can hear ensembles in my head when I'm writing. So yeah, it's just bringing it to life, Oh,
very good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that was one of the things I thought was kind of refreshing when I was listening to some of your catalog was that, one album might be R&B and soul and another album might be electronic. So that was pretty cool. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, do you purposely try to do something a little different with each release to keep it fresh?
I think some of it's unintentional. I think it's just maybe a timestamp of my ever-changingness as a, aging, growing person is definitely part of it. And another part of it is access to money. Like, let's not lie to ourselves. So I think that like my bigger albums like Solitary Refinement and like Cognizance, if you listen to them back to back, you're like, this is the same artist. This is the same person. Like, it's clear that it's like a lineage, And then in between like these big albums that cost a lot of money, I'm like still creating, still writing. So I'll like self-produce an album. Like I'll self-mix, engineer, bedroom mixing, and that's how you get all these like the acoustic one and the electric one and stuff like that. Cause I'm just trying to like still write and still create even when I can't afford it, so you get like these other qualities in between like the otherwise magnitudinal stuff that I wish I could do all the time. You know what I mean?
Oh, very good. Well, you collaborated with Mark Rains for the Cognizance album. Can you give our listeners a little more of an insight of what's it like working with Mark?
Yeah. Mark was a joy to work with. He is super he came up in the punk scene like I did. But he's done every type of music and he's been a professional engineer for 25-30 years, and he's just so fast. I have an incredibly fast brain. I know what I want, and like when I get into work mode, I'm like, there's no such thing as feelings, like let's just do this and like throw it down. And he had the work flow to just keep up with me and like vibe with me. So it was really fun working with him. We pulled how long was it? Not that long. Like we worked from 11 a.m. to like 8 p.m. 9 days in a row.
Oh wow.
And then a half day on the 10th day, and that was it. And then we were done with the whole album.
Wow, efficient. Very efficient.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, not the mixing, just I should be more specific, just the tracking of all the instruments. But yeah, he's a workhorse. He's really great at what he does, and if you're into like a little bit of dark humor, he's a good man.
Very good. Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about being a multi-instrumentalist and being able to throw down different tracks to make your album? Yeah,
I'm not really sure what to say, I guess, but I'm just I guess I'm just blessed. No, I'm I'm not really sure what to say about. I'm not really good at like overly talking about myself, but I can just say, just for people who are getting to know me, that I voice is my first instrument, and then piano is my second in regards to my capacities on the instrument, and then third is guitar, and then fourth would probably be like percussion and like drum stuff. And then that's about it. It ends right there. But yeah, I think I also like, I did back in the day play clarinet, but that was way back in the day now. And I have like over a decade of choral experience performing and traveling, in like competitive choirs and stuff in my youth and my college. So I think all of that just lends itself to a musicality that allows you to speak the language of other instruments, even if you can't play it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we've spoke to so many musicians over the years that they have have said, "Hey, I sing, but I'm a guitarist first." And majority of the artists that we talk to really say, "Hey, I'm a guitarist. I'm a bass player first before I'm a singer." You had mentioned that your voice is your first instrument.
Yes.
Is that pretty much the way that you approach things? Like I'm a vocalist first and musician second, as far as instrumentation goes?
I think as far as just me having like balls to the walls confidence, like I'm a vocalist and I can sing anything and everything with complete confidence. Like that's, nice. You know what I'm saying? Like I can like disappear into Zen mode on that instrument with my voice. And I think for me that's what, if you can't completely disappear while you're doing it, then that's not your main instrument. You know what I mean? But that being said, like I've been playing piano for 20 years, so I'm good. I'm really, really good. But when you live in a place like Los Angeles and you know so many fantastic musicians, and when I see some of the keyboardists, where I'm like, okay, that's a real pianist right there. That's a real one. It's not that I'm not a pianist. Like I'm good. I'm just not like, like supreme proficiency. It's like confident, but in regards to me, like writing, it happens, like I said, simultaneously for me. Like I'm a true singer-songwriter. I don't do one or the other. I sit down and they both happen at the same time.
Oh, fantastic.
Like the music and the melody, like it's an organism for me, which is why most of the time on stage, I don't often step away from an instrument while I'm playing, because it's there together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think it was Kristen Hirsch that we interviewed, and she kind of talked like that she said she saw the songs as like colors, or she saw them as patterns and not necessarily notes. I think that's so cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to bring this back to Cognizance. Bang Bang is my favorite track on the album. Can you talk a little bit more about the creation of that song? How did maybe kind of take us through a step-by-step process of that track?
Yeah, so Bang Bang, I originally really wanted that to be one of the singles. We didn't end up picking it in the end, but I'm really glad it's on the album. I think it's a really important song. I wrote that in 2019. I wrote it, there was a person in Los Angeles who is a rapper, among other things, a philanthropist. He had like businesses. He invested in like parts of the Crenshaw and like other like mid-city communities, but his name was Nipsey Hussle. And when he was shot and killed, and for some reason that was the moment that I wrote that song. Obviously it's overly relevant, unfortunately. But that was the trigger for me of like when I sat down and wrote it. And it was just pure emotion. And sometimes like those really painful, pure emotion songs, I imagine a lot of songwriters can relate to this. Those ones come out of you the fastest because you're just processing in real time. And it's your paintbrush. It's how you process emotions is through music and songs. So it kind of just fell out of me. And then once it had fallen out, I was like, there has to be horns on this because it needs to be aggressive and like loud and big. And, and horns do such a great job of adding that. kind of energy to a song. And then all the juxtaposing the verses that are a lot softer. You know, the verses are very reflective of losing someone and how that feels. And that's why I have like all these layered harmonies and like this very feminine, like reflective perspective on gun violence and on death. And then the choruses are just pissed. We're just pissed off.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I'm Sorry is another one that you had a video for, and that one was really cool. You were covered in paint, and then it removes off of you in reverse going up to the ceiling. That's so cool.
Yes. Thank you. I had that image in my head to that exact song the moment I wrote the song. And then it took how long? Let me see. It took 3 years until I was able to make the video, but I had the image in my head the whole time. And my director the whole time too was like, how are we going to, like, we need to like make sure we're pouring this color for this length of time and this length of time. Otherwise it won't line up. And I was like, it's going to work out. Yeah. I just know it. I just have an instinct about this. But yeah, I had 2 friends on ladders that you can't see in the video. And we just had tons of paint and they just poured it all on me. And then I was like, it's going to go in reverse because the symbolism of it, which is probably obvious, but in case it's not, is that, you know, through the willingness to apologize and like, you know, we're not perfect, but we're trying and we can acknowledge that we can become free of all this muck and things that cover up our, you know, our true selves, right? So it's all these layers of stuff coming off of me.
Oh, so cool.
Simple but effective, but also very hard to breathe. It was it was way more intense and weird than I anticipated in regards to
absolutely
just being able to breathe and like it was like a nice, you know, 30-minute shower getting all that paint off of my body.
Well, we talked to some artists and you know, some artists, you know, they just love making videos, the art form of it, and then others just absolutely loathe it. I don't want to get in front of a camera. Can you talk a little bit about that process of making promotional videos for you and how it works?
Yeah, for promotional videos, I hate. I would also not like to do that because it's commercials and I don't really want to do that. Yeah. Content making, in other words, I'm not that hip to. I know technically anything can be content, but like content for content's sake, I'm not into. If I had the budget and the access, I have so many ideas for music videos all the time. My art is music first, but I do see a lot of visual stuff when I'm writing my music. So I have like music video ideas for almost every song on the record. I just can't afford it. You know what I mean? And I'm not, so it's mostly just that. Like I'd be absolutely down to make my own quote unquote like Lemonade Beyonce album where it's like it's a movie, you know? Totally up my alley. Would love to do that. I love making music videos. Super fun. But most of my music videos recently, they're very simplistic and like things that I know that we can accomplish, you know, in a very fixed, budgeted way.
Right, for sure. Well, as you finished the recording of Cognizance, how difficult was it for you to say, okay, the album is done, I'm done tinkering, I got to walk away from it, and at the end, how satisfied were you with the completed project?
I'm really satisfied. Yeah. There's absolutely things that you can nitpick and be like, damn it, we should have done that, or we should have like mixed this part of the instrument louder. There 100% there's things that I think from every project you'll always hate. But I think where I'm at, and because this is my 8th album technically, with the experience of creating, it comes, I'm just aging in general, I think comes the wisdom of letting go in a different way. So it's like, it doesn't mean that you can't be as much of a perfectionist in the moment, but no matter what, looking back on it, like you're changing, your taste is changing, your opinion's changing, your perspective's changing, your ears changing, your skill set's changing. So when you go backwards to listen to something, you're always going to find something that's like your own child. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm really satisfied. I'm so happy with it. And this is also, I'm going to say this now, this is also the first album I've ever pressed to vinyl.
Oh, cool.
And I have a double LP for it. The side D is only ever going to be released on the vinyl. There is no digital for that ever. Okay. So if people are really into getting like special stuff or special like different music, in studio stuff, like live stuff, jam stuff, other things. That's what side D is on the record. And the photography is just so stunning. But I bring that up because like this record on vinyl is absolutely stunning. It's just so good. It's so good. So if anyone out there's into it, I worked with such an incredible vinyl specific mastering engineer, and I just think he nailed it.
I think you did.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
we've spoke to many artists in their thought process of crowdfunding, and you spoke briefly about crowdfunding this last album. How's your experience been dealing with crowdfunding an album? Is it pretty positive, or is it something that you're like, hey, I don't know if I'd really do that again? I guess where are you at in this part of your career?
Yeah, I've done it twice for both of the larger albums I've ever done. I've had a great experience both times. I would absolutely do it again. I think just knowing that relying on community is really important, and pretending like you're alone or that you don't need anyone or that you can like thrive and be successful alone, I think is a fallacy. I think it's just an unfortunate side effect of our country's obsession with individuality and things of that nature. But I don't see art existing without community. I think they go hand in hand. That being said, it is incredibly, incredibly exhausting and a ton of work. So the best thing I could like say for anyone out there who hasn't done it or who is interested, I had someone tell me the first time I was going to do it that like whatever money you're trying to make, he's like, how many months of work would you put into that for like a normal job? And he's like, and you're going to do all that in 30 days. So he's like, if that means you're working 12 hours a day, then let's go. You know what I mean? You got to be ready to show up. You can't just like throw it out there and be like, let's see what happens. It's definitely active effort. Yeah.
Is it a platform that you plan to use going forward in the future?
I do plan on doing it one more time for my next full-length studio album, which I'm almost done writing. Nice. I feel like I need a few more songs to kind of flesh it out, but we're not ready to reach out to people yet. I want to finish writing some stuff. And in the meantime, in true me fashion, I will have some collaborative singles with another producer and like, you know, some stuff that'll come out between. Because the point of the story is that I can do things without people's help, and I do. That's what all the in-between stuff is. But to make something tremendous, you need help. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well said.
I think Cognizance had 13 tracks on it. How many songs do you typically write for an album?
Cognizance, originally we looked at 18. There was 18 songs. And then we got it down to 13. And so Solitary Refinement, if people do go back, that came out in 2017. Yes. That one feels like literally an album. Like it was just such a specific time in my life, and I wrote it all so close together that it is such an album. Cognizance, I didn't write as an album. It's just more like me writing songs and in hindsight being like, oh, these ones all, you know, then that's when you start being like, wow, I was clearly in a chapter. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then some of the extraneous songs where you're like, these do not fit in this chapter, you just pull them, for me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to follow up on that, so we've talked to some artists where, you know, they take those tracks and they put them in a big vault and they save them for, you know, maybe dust them off down the road. But I'm surprised sometimes when you hear that some artists, they just throw them away and they never go back. How's it work for you?
I have both. I relate to that. I have some songs that I've written where I've played them out at open mics. You know what I mean? I've played them in some capacity out because they're still songs that you've written. But some of them you're just like, I don't know about this guy. Like it doesn't feel like a hit. An example of one on Cognizance that had been around for a while. So a lot of songs on Cognizance I wrote, you know, like in 2018, 2019, just living life. But so track 4, This Damn Place, that was one that it wasn't titled that, and it was in a different key, and it was faster, and it wasn't what it is now. that I technically wrote those lyrics like a long time ago. And it was like a concept that I really liked, but I just was never sold on the song.
Yeah.
And it was just in a book, in a spiral notebook. And then one day you're flipping through your things, and I just was like, these lyrics. And then like those chords came out of me, and I was like, holy shit, that was what it was missing the whole time.
Nice.
Like, we did it, we found it. And then I was like, and I thought it was a good addition to the album. So there are some vault you hold on to, some vault that like you keep and no one will ever see it or hear it.
Oh yeah.
Well, you alluded to that you're in the process of writing new music for another album.
Yes.
As far as releasing a release time frame, what can you tell your fans, our listeners, when can we expect this next album to be released?
First and foremost, I will be at some point releasing 2 singles in collaboration with a different producer who's making all the music for it. That will be electronic in regards to instrumentation. And those 2 things, again, are things because I can that way I can at least still have some stuff going on and still be releasing new things. Mm-hmm. And it's a little more possible when you do digital and do stuff like that. It's just, I'm not paying a 12-piece band to make an album. It gets very expensive, friends, when you have a 12-piece band, which was what was on Cognizance for anyone listening. Those are all real human beings that were hired to play. There's nothing digital on Cognizance at all. Right. It's all real. But yeah, so there'll be 2 things releasing this year for sure. And then just because I'm experienced and I know how long this stuff takes, it definitely won't be till next year for any other like larger project, because it just, child, it takes a long time, especially if you want it to be, like I said earlier, like tremendous. Like, you don't want it to just be kind of meh, and you want it to keep outdoing yourselves,
Absolutely.
So I got to outdo myself, and that's going to be a lot of big shoes to fill to outdo myself. So, yes. So I'm like, if we can track it all real fast, like mixing sometimes can take months, like just because normally your mixing engineer isn't just mixing your project, they're mixing tons of people projects. So it takes most engineers that are professional living in especially in this, entertainment capital like LA, everyone's working all the time. So it's like, I'll see them, and then, it's like 3 weeks later by the time they get back to revisions or notes, and then you do it again, and you go mixing, it takes the longest, and then mastering, and then you're like thinking of the release strategy, and like, you don't want to rush that because you spent so much time making it. So it definitely is like at least a year from beginning of tracking till you even release it to anybody.
Oh, very good.
If you're doing it right. Yeah. It's crazy. It takes so much time. People just have no idea.
Absolutely. Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah, so on your website you got some shows coming up January through March. Are those shows where you'll be going out like as yourself as a singer-songwriter, or do you have a band with you? Yeah, so on I know that this will air after the fact, but that's all right. But this Friday is probably going to be my last full band show for a while. Okay. I'm playing at like this great little club in Los Angeles. It's my birthday this Friday.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And probably my last full band show, just because, again, want to go into thinking about this next album and just what I want for myself. So you kind of have to leave space for a pause. At least I do. I can't be like shredding and on tour and thinking about the future. It's too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'll be doing a ton of like solo shows. I have a really big one in March, happening at this performing arts center in Fullerton called the Muckenthaler Cultural Center. That's happening on March 21st, and I'll be playing this insanely gorgeous grand piano that they have there. It's like a proper 2-hour show. That one will be really, really good. And then besides that, just like smaller like songwriter showcases. Like I do the cover gig thing for a living. So I'm out there. I'm out playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my last rock and roll like rock star show is probably this Friday for at least like a few months.
Ah, very good. I wanted to bring this back to the tangible product. You know, we see so many artists out there that are just releasing their songs digitally. It's up there on whatever platform it is. How important is it for you to still release physical copies of your music opposed to just putting it up on the internet?
I think it depends project to project. I think it's hard for me to answer that without just thinking of the scope of types of people that exist who are making music and releasing it. I think for most people, it does not make sense to make products. I think that unless you are going to actively tour, it's actually pretty pointless because most of your hometown folk are not going to give a shit about buying your stuff because they know you. Like they'll kind of buy it at maybe your album release show, and then everyone's like, I don't need to buy your shit. I see you all the time. You know, strangers buy stuff. Like your friends don't. Your friends do not give a shit about your shirts. So I actually don't think it's that important unless you're touring or unless you're already, you know, you already have like a big enough following and you know that your fans are into that.
Yeah, very good.
Back to your band that you have, is it do you use the same band for most of when you do the band shows, or do you get different groups, different players from time to time?
Yeah, I definitely have different players because it's more I'm the band and whoever's available, but it's changed over the years. When I first started playing, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was really, really blessed to have the same bass player and drummer for 5 years straight. And we primarily performed as a trio. It was like keys, bass, and drums. It was really fun, a little more punchy sounding, you know, because it's a lot of rhythm elements. But having a commitment like that, it's hard to get good unless you have like a safe space and support with like the same kind of music family, so that you can learn each other's language, so you don't have to talk so much. You can just like react off of each other. So I'm really grateful to have had that experience. Which people who are in like bands, obviously they have that, but as a soloist, like finding like people who want to stick with you it's like a different journey, especially like if you're pre money, if this is just for funsies. Where I'm at now, my main drummer is the same person. So we've been playing together for 10 years now. God bless his beautiful soul. And except now, like, you know, now I pay everybody. Like there's not a show that I'm playing with someone where people aren't making money, even if I'm not. It's just we're all too fucking old, and you know, everyone's got to make money. Some of my friends are married. Their wives would be very upset if they were out at night playing with me and not coming home with something. So it's like, so it's definitely changed. But I will say, most recently, this past 12 months, I've been playing with the same drummer, bassist, and guitarist, which has just been so fun. So fun. They're so talented. And then my cello player and violin player, I have been playing with them since 2017, when I have a show that's appropriate for it. And yeah, so I do think overall I'm very blessed to have some loyalty and stuff, but I also treat people well and treat everyone like professionals, you know. And I think if you have good music and you're a good vibe and you like pay a little something too, like people stay in your orbit.
Oh, very good. You're very active on social media, and you also have a website as well. In this day and age of all the different social media platforms that are out there, is it still important for an artist to still have their own web page, or is it something that's not even needed any longer?
I honestly don't know. I would maybe say it's not needed, but I think because to me, I like having a main website because then I can put everything somewhere. So even though I'm on bands in town, like a lot of people who aren't musicians or who aren't bloggers or who aren't, you know, like they're consumers of music, but they're not participants in the industry, they don't know all these websites.
Right.
But they know you. And I think creating that single place, whether it's like Linktree or utilizing, like if you don't want to build a website, but you want to use like something like Linktree, like, you know, tiny URL, whatever, like a one-stop shop thing, I think is really helpful and kind to do for your people who are, want to support you, because then you're not making them run around like crazy people to try to support you. Like, you want to make it easy for people to support you,
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Well, I know I read that you're LA based, but I also read that you frequent Nashville and New York. Can you talk a little bit compare, contrast a little bit about the scenes?
You guys, I am so sad. So I used to go to New York every year, Nashville every year. I'd go up to the Pacific Northwest. I'd go to Arizona, Nevada, and I had a few, we call them markets in the biz. But I would go to all those places, and I have not been on tour or to any of those places since before the shutdown now. 2019 was the last time. Myriad of reasons for that. A lot of it financial, unfortunately. It's just been a wild ride, for a lot of us who were full-time musicians. When the shutdown happened, there was just a lot of hole climbing. You got to climb out of holes, build yourself back up, build your savings back up, and kind of get stuff going like that. But that being said, I love Nashville. I've always had a great time there. I went there once a year, 5 years straight. It's a good time. And then New York is hard, but as a visitor, I think it's a great time. I would never live there, though.
Well, we're running out of our allotted time for the evening. We have one last question for you, then we'll leave you alone. Deal?
Okay.
All right. Well, I asked this question to all of our guests. The mystery of rock and roll. With all the different social media platforms now, there's real no mystery of rock and roll anymore. But for you, the artist and the fan of music, what do you prefer, the mystery and mystique that rock and roll once had, or do you like this new age of accessibility that social media gives us? And hey, we wouldn't be doing this with you without the internet.
Full mystique, full old school. I do not want to hear about everyone's days. I do not want to tap into your vlogs or watch you cook or hang out with your babies or any of that. For me, it's I want to just support your art if I like your art and enjoy that. And I don't need to know everything about the person making it, because I can learn everything through the medium that they express themselves through. So yeah, I'm my dream, man, and take this for what it is, is when you play the venues where you're big enough where you just play your show and then you just leave out the back. You versus the DIY venues where to get out of the stage you just walk right into the crowd and everyone's oh my god, and you're okay, let me just calm down because I just finished playing, you guys. I think the mystique is amazing. I love that. I miss that. Absolutely, it's the best.
I agree. I agree with you. As we're running out of time this evening, is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
Ooh, I would like to ask people to definitely check out all my albums, get to know me, go down a rabbit hole. I'm a big Bandcamp advocate, so I have my entire discography. It's discounted on Bandcamp. Go there. That's the best way to support me. I have a lot of great merchandise. All my socials are at Brenda Carsey Art. Brenda Carsey on streaming platforms. Carsey is Casey with an R in the middle of it. And that's basically it. And if you want me to come to wherever you are, I love touring. I would love to go. I love house concerts. I'm happy to play a house concert and curate an entire tour around it. I'm down. I'm open-minded. I love people. I love music. Let's go.
Fantastic. Well, this is how things are going to work out. We're about 2 weeks behind on our episodes, but once Jeff, the editing wizard over here, gets everything cleaned up, we'll get this to you, and please share it to all your socials because we're going to share it to all of ours.
I will. I absolutely will.
Fantastic.
Crazy. I was going to ask, where are you guys right now? Where are you? We're
in the Midwest. We're in the frozen tundra of the Midwest right now.
I know. Oh my God, it's so crazy.
We're on the Iowa-Illinois border, so we're about 3 hours west of Chicago.
Yeah, we were kind of afraid because we just got hit with 20 inches of snow last week.
Dude,
yeah,
it's so freaking wild.
Yeah, and we had, I think it was over the weekend, what was it, 30 below zero?
Yeah.
So we were we didn't know if this was going to happen tonight. So
I looked at my wife and I'm like, why do we live here?
Yeah. It's so wild. I still watch the news sometimes. So I see what's going on. It's so wild. Like how far down the freeze is coming too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like through the country, it's so crazy.
Well,
I hope you guys stay safe.
Well, it's funny because a couple weeks
Good, thank
before, everybody was complaining that it was so mild and it was a warm winter. Winter's not even going to happen. And then I think I saw somebody on Facebook. They posted, "Yeah, this is winter," and I heard you were all talking shit.
That is hilarious. Yes, exactly.
Well, the other thing was living around here is that we are right on the Mississippi River, and all the other river tributaries around here. And the problem that we have is with a lot of these areas is that the rivers freeze over and they cause massive ice jams, and it floods towns out because
we get a lot of flooding in the spring.
Yeah. So
Right.
Yep. So anyway, we won't keep any longer.
Crazy.
I will be in touch.
Okay.
I'll be in touch with you in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it'll be all.
Okay.
I'll share the link with you, and then please share it. It's been a true honor to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It was fun.
All right, take care. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
No!
Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then you plug out both their eyes. They roll the dice. Take your chances.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.